Am I wrong for letting my sister walk me down the aisle despite my fiancé and his family's objections? I, 23 female, was raised by my older half-sister, 32 female. I never met my dad, and our mom OD'd when I was 10 and my sister was 19. My sister's dad was still in her life and was willing to support her, but not me. My sister chose to be my guardian, and her father's family went low contact with her as a result. In order to raise me, she gave up a lot: her relationship with her family, college, her 20s, and so much more. A few months ago, I got engaged, and I told my sister that in addition to being my maid of honor, I also wanted her to be the one to walk me down the aisle. All my life, she's had to fulfill so many roles for me: big sister, mother, father, friend, that it only felt right that those multiple roles be honored on one of the biggest days of my life. My sister was ecstatic and so was I, but when I brought it up with my fiancé, he objected. My future in-laws are very traditional, and my fiancé had always expected that his wedding would be a very traditional white wedding. He said that it was great that my sister was my maid of honor, but that her having two roles wasn't, and that it wasn't appropriate for her to walk me down the aisle since that's usually done by a man. Says who? Says who? Apparently his family had assumed that my future father-in-law would be the one to give me away since I don't have any male relatives. I told him that I appreciate his father being willing to fill that role, but that the one who makes me the person I am is my sister, so it's right that she be the one to give me away. It turned into an argument that spread to my in-laws. My mother-in-law called me a few days ago to say although she understands how important my sister is to me, that it's also my fiancé's wedding and I shouldn't be putting my sister before him on his day. But how does it affect you? I would understand if it affected him directly, but it's literally just your sister walking down the aisle and giving you to him. I really don't see the problem with this unless I'm missing something. I definitely heard her on that, but this is still important to me. At this point, my sister has even said that she doesn't mind just being the maid of honor and that she doesn't want to turn my happy date into something stressful. So now it's just me holding out and being stubborn, but I really don't want to concede at this point. Am I being the asshole? Okay, so she has an edit to questions people had asked her. Are the in-laws contributing to the wedding? Yes. In fact, they're paying for about 75% of it since I'm still in school and don't have the money to put towards a wedding the scale that fiancé wanted. Does your fiancé have sisters? No, he has 2 younger brothers. Did he ask your sister for your hand? He did, actually. She also helped him custom design the engagement ring. She showed me their group text, and at one point they spent 3 weeks trying to decide between 5 different diamonds.
Am I the asshole for telling someone they're selfish for asking a 22-year-old to become a child's guardian? My 22 female boyfriend, Malcolm, 22 male, has a half-sister, Elena, 12 female. They have the same dad, and he's not involved in their lives. Their moms became close friends, and they were raised seeing one another. Malcolm's mom moved abroad a couple of years ago. Elena's mom, Sandra, was diagnosed with cancer last year. She went through treatment, but it's been determined that there's nothing they can do but make her comfortable. Sandra will pass sometime this year. She has no other family. Malcolm has spent a lot of time helping care for Elena, driving her to school, making them meals, etc. Recently, Malcolm sat me down. He said that Sandra asked to speak to him. She said she understood if the answer was no, but asked for him to take on custody of Elena sooner rather than later. That way she could adjust to him being her guardian before she passes. Malcolm would move in with them, and Sandra had a sizable life insurance policy and an accountant to help him care for Elena. To my surprise, he agreed to all of this without consulting me. I pointed this out and he said we've only been together for 6 months. I asked, didn't he feel too young for all of this? He said sort of, but he'd do it for Elena. Without further discussion, he subleased his apartment and moved in with Sandra and Elena. Saturday, I stopped by to pick up Malcolm for lunch. He hadn't returned from work yet, so I was waiting with Sandra. We were making small talk. She mentioned how grateful she was for Malcolm and that he was a sweet boy. I asked if he was really her only option. I mentioned his mom. Sandra said Elena is losing enough. She doesn't want to force her to move abroad on top of everything. She also doesn't feel right asking Malcolm's mom to move back. I said I found the whole thing a little selfish. Malcolm is only 22. He shouldn't be tied down raising a child. Sandra got defensive and said she wished she didn't have to ask him. Plus, he said yes. I asked what else was he supposed to say. Sandra told me I was upsetting her and asked me to leave. Malcolm called me later, screaming at me. He said that I upset Sandra. I said I was trying to defend him and point out options she may not have thought of. Malcolm told me to butt out and to get on board with this or walk away. He hasn't spoken to me since. I saw Elena at the mall on Sunday and she ignored me. My mom told me I screwed up big time. Am I the asshole?
Yeah. I liked that the mom was like, I don't want him to have to do that. Honestly, if it were my choice, I would be her mom.
I
That's
don't
what I think
really
she would want
to die.
Yeah. If it were my choice, I wouldn't, but it's not. So so.
I don't want to have terminal cancer. Like,
She'll maybe try not having cancer. She might as well just said that to her. That's crazy.
you're selfish.
Yeah.
You're telling a dying woman she's selfish for trying to ensure that her daughter, who is a 12-year-old, is taken care of when she's gone.
And then we've only been together 6 months. Relax.
I love that he said that.
We don't live together. Why would I tell you?
6 months is nothing. I don't, do you know their middle name at 6 months?
I mean, the fact that she even knows all of this at 6 months, that's a lot of information to know about someone, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, at 6 months, I didn't even know if Justin wiped standing or sitting.
And that's important to know.
And these are important questions to ask your significant other.
I'd be more worried about that.
Am I the asshole for telling my wife I want her best friend to leave after she invited her to live with us? My 38 wife 32 has invited her best friend 32 to live with us because she's going through a really messy divorce. She has her baby with her, and I do like her friend, and we're actually the godparents of her baby. I really hate the situation and really want her to leave because my wife basically has no time for me anymore. She used to cook for me, and that doesn't happen anymore, and we haven't been intimate since she moved in. I also really wish the kid wasn't here because she wakes up every single night. Not to mention the fact that we have a small apartment and there's kids' toys everywhere. Am I the asshole for telling my wife I want her best friend to leave after she invited her to live with us? Not to mention we have a really small apartment and there's kids' toys everywhere. They sleep in the living room, which is where my Xbox is, so I haven't been able to play that either. She also puts dirty diapers in the kitchen garbage and the whole house smells. And now my wife is talking about us watching the kid while her friend goes on a work trip for 2 weeks. I just really hate this and it seems unfair to me. Why is my life being turned upside down? Where's her ex-husband in all this? I don't know how long this is supposed to last, but it's not working and I told my wife I want her to go. Am I wrong?
Am I the asshole for moving to a hotel because my wife's family insisted I sleep on the couch? My wife and I got married last summer. Her family lives across the country from us, so up until this point, I had never actually visited. I had met them a handful of times, but we've always gotten along fine. They invited us to come visit and stay with them for a few days, and we took them up on the offer. We flew in yesterday. Everything went well. Her dad and I watched football. Well, that's fun to do. While she caught up with her mom and her sister. And then we finally had a nice dinner. But things went south at the end of the night when it was made clear that they didn't want me sharing a bed with my wife while in their home, and that they expected me to sleep on the couch. By the way, I had a handful of comments on this, but she won't let me do it. This is her show and I gotta behave. I honestly thought, what?
You're still adding comments.
I'm going to shut up and read. I love this show. I honestly thought they were joking at first, but they insisted we sleep separately. I had a problem with the implication that I shouldn't be allowed to sleep next to my wife. And also, I have a bad back and the couch did not look at least bit comfortable. They didn't have a guest room. After arguing back and forth for a bit, I decided to leave and book a hotel. I told my wife she didn't have to come with me. She chose to stay, and I said I'll come back the next day. I went off to the Marriott about 10 miles away and got a good night's sleep, trying not to let the whole situation bother me.
Hell yeah.
This morning, I called my wife asking when I should come by. She told me that my parents want me to apologize for leaving the way that I did. I told her that I am willing to apologize to keep the peace, but they need to acknowledge that it wasn't appropriate to insist that I can't share a bed with my own wife. She said she'd talk to them and then call me back.
Okay.
About 10 minutes later, I hear back from her. She tells me that not only will they not apologize for it, they are now insisting that I need to come back and stay on the couch for the rest of our visit. If I don't agree to this, I'm not welcome back in the house. I'm pretty livid at this point. I told her that there is absolutely no chance that I will do that, and I am no longer willing to offer any sort of apology. This is a great negotiation. My wife's sisters are now bothering me, saying this is just the way their parents are, that my wife is very upset and I need to just give in and stay on the couch for the rest of the trip before it turns into something sort of a family feud. From my perspective, I didn't care what they think, and I'm willing to treat the rest of the trip as a solo vacation. Go sightseeing, meet my wife back at the airport at the end of the week. Am I the asshole?
Yeah, not the asshole. I think this is a very weird request. It seems like they're having quite the pissing match between them.
Am I the asshole for keeping my girlfriend up because she locked me out of our shared bedroom? I, male 30, perpetually have trouble sleeping and sometimes will need to get up from the bed and try sleeping in a different bedroom. My girlfriend 30 female is a light sleeper, so this can cause problems when I enter and exit the room. I try as best as I can to be quiet, but sometimes I can be clumsy or not light on my feet, causing her to wake up. Usually I sleep in my office to avoid coming in and out, and we also have 2 spare bedrooms, so sleeping arrangements aren't the problem. Well, last night I thought I was actually going to be able to sleep, so decided to sleep with her. Keep in mind she had work the next morning.